Hello and welcome to today's video. I am Jacob Connors, also known as Fox Gear Studios on DeviantArt. I'm the author of the Saga the Black Beast book. I'm trying to make it a series, but today we're doing another character R&D. Today we're talking about the Archpriestess of Evansburg, Mother Lyn R&D. It's quite a mouthful, but you know, it kind of works out. You got to give characters creative names. So a bit of her background before we get started here. She's the Arch Saint of Evansburg, which is a city that's mentioned in Book One and takes place and is the setting for Book Two for most of it. She becomes a pivotal character. Now, originally, before the book was split in half, or split into a third and 2/3. She was just part of book one, but since I split the books, she gets mentioned in book one as just the Archpriestess, and then in book two proper, she's introduced right away. So, right in chapter one. So we're going to talk to her about her design today and the various stages went through. Lyn was my take on a mermaid, and mermaids and elves work a little differently in the Saint Saga story. The main difference is like a mermaid, salamander, nymph. They're all just an elf. The only reason elves are called elves in my story is because they're all basically descended from the goddess Alphania. So elf, it's just elf and fauna put together, and then you get Alphania, and then you get Alphanians, and then so everybody, the slang term for an Alphanian is just an elf. It can, in some ways, it kind of can be used derogatorily in the story, like you'd call Lyn a sea elf if you didn't want to be tactful about it. You'd call her worse things, sea wench, siren, but she is a mermaid. But yeah, she is a mermaid. She doesn't look quite like one in this first draft here. She gets more mermaid as she goes down the line here. But let's get started with her first prototype phase, and she's also based off of another old runes buddy of mine, ironically a grandmother who played MMORPGs. We always heard her yelling at her grandkids in the background. That's a treat. It's a strange world, but it's a different experience. My clicker is going to be a little insufficient here. Oh, I see what's going on. My clicker is in the wrong spot. I really like my big giant clicker here. So, anyways, we're gonna start off like we always do from head to toe. So, for the first notable feature of Lyn here is her blue hair. A lot of the Japanese, the manga, light novels, people just have different colored hair colors. It shows up a little bit more in Western stuff nowadays, but it's most times there's not a reason. I know in the Japanese medium they have like different hair colors signify different character traits. It's like blood type to them, which I don't even know my blood type, so that was always confusing to me. But just for her affinity with the water, her hair is blue, helps her blend in. As we go off, mermaids are a lot more terrifying. Like they're more original mermaid. I went with more original mermaid hair, so they're sinking pirate ships, they're sinking other ships, they are drowning and killing people. They're very terrifying in the story. But Lyn's one of the nicer ones. She converted to Solaran, but we'll get into that. So I gave her kind of this wavy blue hair. There's a lot of influence from my friend's character model here. She played a priestess in the game too, so that's kind of why she has the priestess aesthetic here. So one of the main key features she has is she actually has mismatched eyes. Can I zoom in on that? Yeah, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. Yeah, so Lyn has monochronism, I believe it's called. So she has two different eye colors. There is a story reason for that, but though it's very late in the game. But I'll just say part of her design is Lyn has a curse placed on her by her mother because she fell in love with a human and left the sea. And this one of her pink eye here is the result of her curse, which is called Siren's Call. And that curse, basically, the curse will turn any young man into admirer of Lyn's, and basically turns any man that's not her husband into a stalker. And it was suppressed as long as her husband was around, but after he is pronounced dead in the crusade, Lyn starts growing a vast number of suitors that are hounding her all day, trying to gain her affection. So that's the story behind her eye. But I also just thought it'd be cool to have a character with two different eye colors, but that's the in-story reason. Always try and get her back to the right size here so I can keep going here. Okay. Okay, so we had blue hair, mismatched eyes. I liked having these seashells in her head ornament here, just to kind of give her a bit more of a just to show off her roots with the sea. So she likes having seashells in her hair, I guess you could say. Her initial ears, before I kind of flushed out the elves a bit more, were just pointed. I was kind of going with the standard aesthetic that all elves just kind of have pointed ears, but that gets to change a little bit. Her next design, the ears change a lot, but I'll wait till we get there. This robe design stays the same. It gets upgraded, but it generally stays the same. So she kind of has like this cape here. It looks like she's wearing like 2 layers of capes. That's another thing too. She's a warm water mermaid living in basically Central Europe, so it's cold for her. So she bundles and layers a lot, which I think is always a little ironic because I draw her with like an open skirt all the time. But anyway, so she has these hand guards here. She has these hand guards and one glove that was not well thought out on my part. I was kind of just making random knickknacks and see what I liked. Initially, this part here at the top of her breast, I think that was going to be scales or scale armor, but that gets changed a little bit as we go down the line too. We kind of have this rope around the waist to hold this very inspired kind of waist armor. I kind of borrowed that from Sango from Inuyasha. I try to make it more my own as I go, but that was initially a design I liked, and I kind of kept it, but I change it more as I go along here. But then of course she has a trident, a modified trident here with chime bells, so she can do some extra spells and stuff. And her boots her boots weren't the worst I made. A lot of people, just because of the time period and the ruggedness, a lot of my characters wear boots. Lyn is no exception, but that was one of the, not the worst. They're not the best boots I made, but they're not the worst. All right, let's move on. So this is Lyn version 2, if I kept them in chronological order right. I kept the background here just because, she was sitting, so it's easier to do it. One of the big changes here, her hair gets a little more defined. It gets a little more wavy. The biggest change here is her ears. So her ears just kind of get pointed, but they have like these fin-like protrusions in them. So they're basically like fish fins on the side of her ears, or her ears are basically like fish fins that kind of flap around. They're a lot more useful in the water than they are on land, but not bad. The big thing is too, we added some more color to her palette here. So Solarans wear blue, so her cape gets this darker blue tone. Her skirt gets the darker blue, but she has like a lighter blue underneath. And the moonlight is really just pronounced on her chest right there. And then her accent color becomes orange for some reason. I'm not 100% sure why. Maybe it's because these were my high school colors, they're generally pleasing. But she gets the the waistcloth around her gets changed. Yeah, her sash. I was thinking sash. Her sash gets changed up here, gets into this design. But the other big change is her mermaid traits get a little more pronounced. So she has like fins and scales on her arms, fins and scales on her legs. So she's less of just an elf with some scales on her, and now she's a little bit more like a mermaid that's out of water a little bit. I kind of go with the same general aesthetic that mermaids can walk on land. It's just when they just have to shed their tails a little bit. I do have a mermaid design, but I'm not showing it in this video. I got to redo the mermaid design. It gets a lot better than the first one I showed, so we won't worry about that. Other than that, her. I can't remember if this was no, this wasn't the one used for the official. For the official one yet, but so that's version 2. It was definitely a stark improvement. It's definitely a mass improvement. Let's say this is version 3 Lyn. This is where her design gets a lot more defined. So her cape gets a lot more new detail. You can see her ears get a little, not square, but a little more fin shaped and not more than just pointed. She gets her gloves back in this one. Her skirt I went a little more wild with this time, but right here is where that armor piece starts to be defined more. Unfortunately, I haven't quite made it go away from Sango's look yet, but it's kind of just become part of the character. But I am always trying to make my own. But we'll get there. The other big improvement, I think, I gotta move this a little bit. Yeah, is her boots get changed up into this new design. It's not a big deal, but they just get a little more defined. But then her trident goes from solid gold to having a wood pole arm, but the overall design stays the same. Not too much to say about volume. Not too much to say about version 3 here. It's just general improvement. I guess her shirt gets a different color, and her hair gets longer and a little more wavy. But other than that, there's not much I changed. I think I've drawn Lyn maybe the most times, but we'll keep going here. And this is the official version of Lyn, drawn by Deku Studio on ArtStation. They currently handle all my art. They currently handle all my illustrations for the books. I really like their style. I hope they stay in business as I get work done for Volume 3. But I really like what they did. They took. I'm on clicker too. But they took the design. They really ran with it. They gave her this fur collar, which was not specified, but it actually works because Lyn's always cold, so it would make sense she'd have a fur collar. I didn't pay to go below the waist. Unfortunately, there's a little spot here where you can kind of see like a gap, kind of a gap on her leg there. So it kind of looks like she's not wearing anything underneath there. She is just the way it turned out. I like how kind of soft her face looks, if that makes sense. And then they really went to town on the ears here. Like the ears look like full fins now. There's this spot in her hair where it looks like a giant braid. Actually, it's kind of funny. But that's the official version of Lyn. She shows up in Volume 2, and she's an integral part of the group through Volume 2, through Volume 3, and I believe up to 4 and 5. And I'll kind of spare any spoilers for anyone that goes and reads the book. But she joins the party for quite a while. But she does go on her own adventure down the way. Oh yeah, one thing I really liked there. I really liked. I'm not sure. I don't quite remember exactly what the inspiration for this kind of crescent moon ring circuit crown was, but I really like how they refined it. It just looks. I don't know if Sailor Moonish is right, but it just looks neat. Those guys did a good. Sorry, they did a great job. I'm really happy with their work. So that's Lyn. And moving on here, if you want to check out my book, Saint Saga the Black Beast, Volume 1, you can check it out on Amazon at $3.99 for ebook or Kindle Unlimited. I think you can, but I think you can read the prologue and the first 2 chapters for free off the site. I didn't change the image, the color. I recently updated the cover a little bit. I kind of just rearranged the text a little bit and got my name a little more pronounced there. It follows the adventure of Hazel Spree here, which is this girl. She gets cursed by the demon Sixes, that's Sixes in his beast form, and she ends up being taken from her home and has to go on an adventure with Sixes, and it's a very dangerous journey, and the only one there to protect her is him. So they go for a forest, fight some goblins, rescue some people, and then they get off to Evansburg where they meet Lyn. And it's a multi-book series, but I hope you all check it out. Let's see here. And you can also get the paperback for $12.50, and then Volume 2 is going to be released March 25th. I am thinking of, if I get it done in time, I might push it forward to February because it's called Lovesick. The problem is there's not a terrible amount of romance in it. I wish I could have made this I made this for advertisements. I wish I didn't have to cut out Sixes, but sacrifices have to be made. But yeah, check out Saint Saga Volume 1 on Amazon, and I hope you all give Volume 2 a try when it comes out. I can't decide if I want to release the ebook first before the paperback. I'm currently going through it again to make sure there's no issues. But that will wrap things up for me. Next time, I think I'm going to try doing some, because I'm gonna run out of characters eventually here. I'm planning to do some light novel reviews because I read a lot anyways. So I'm planning to pick out a bunch of light novels I've read and do some reviews on them and give my thoughts on how I do my writing and stuff, and do some character creating and maybe piss some people off. Not intentionally, just the way it works out when you try and rate characters. But that's all for today. Thank you. Hope you all had a good Labor Day. And see you next time. Bye.